Well, hello there and welcome back to the very latest episode of my Love Machine podcast. Now, today I am absolutely thrilled to be talking with a wonderful women's wellness mentor called Emily de Luzy. She is a global female body transformation expert and she's committed to helping ambitious, time-poor women get confident, beat emotional eating, and fix hormonal issues through bespoke one-to-one coaching. And she is the founder of Fit Queen. And today we'll be talking about how to achieve a total body and mind transformation, which is perfect if you're new to dating, if you are starting to date someone else, or you are just working out what you can do to improve your life overall. So Emily, how are you doing?
I'm good, and can I just say thank you so much for such an incredible introduction. Honestly.
You're welcome. There you go. I need to make more impact with my introduction, so there you go. I'm glad you like that.
Wow, I did. You really ticked that box. I'm so happy to be here and really excited to explore this session and provide some great value. If you're listening here and you're wanting to build that body confidence and internal belief piece, I hope that we can provide you with some great value today.
I'm really excited to have you here because we connected on Instagram a little while ago and I thought you sounded great and I love what you do with your videos. Although it's not aimed at men in particular, it was lots of great impact and you're making some great suggestions, giving out great advice, and I can see the difference you're making. I thought I've got to get you on my podcast. So welcome today. Before we start, can you tell everyone your background? Because you've got quite an interesting background in terms of how you started to do this, haven't you?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's been quite the journey, lots of trial and error. So for myself, I had a very turbulent relationship with food and body image. I had a very fast-paced career, but I would eat when I was sad and I would eat when I was happy. I grew up having difficulties with my weight. I was always the biggest person in the group. And for me, I was finding myself leaving my very busy career, being a young woman and not wanting to socialize, not wanting to date, not wanting to, make amazing memories. And the limitations were around, what am I going to wear? What are people going to think of me? What if someone takes a picture of me and I have to see that on social media? And all of those fears would crop into my mind and they would stop me from, this phrase, living my best life. And for me, I got to a point where I wanted to make some changes. I decided that I would jump on mainstream dieting. I applied a very all or nothing approach and I went from a size 18 down to a size 4. I did it over a very quick amount of time. And because of that, I ended up with poor health as a byproduct of that. So I had postmenopausal estrogen levels at the age of 22. I'd lost my cycle for 3 years, so I obviously couldn't conceive at that point. And I ended up with hyperthyroid, so an underactive thyroid, all as an outcome of my decisions around food and exercise. So at that point, I was alarmed that actually a combination of mainstream dieting and, coaches out there that were giving advice actually led me to be in a position where I could not make a baby. And for me, that was so alarming. And, perhaps you're perimenopausal right now and you're going through those symptoms and you're feeling tired, heavy-limbed, foggy brain. I was going through all of this at age 22 and I went on HRT for 6 months. And for me, it was about getting back to a healthy place. It was about finding that balanced piece of not being a size 4 and not being a size 18, but being that Emily that was healthy and had a balanced relationship with food and her body image. So I worked really hard on going through that journey and finding that middle ground. And at that point, I had a very small social media following and women had watched me dramatically change my body. And I had an influx of messages just saying, please help me. I'm in pain too. I'm where you are, back at identity A. And for me, I felt incredibly drawn to that because I wanted to protect everybody that came into my inbox to make sure that they didn't end up going through a journey which led to the outcome I did. So I went and studied, I got my qualifications, I started my online coaching journey, and I worked with incredible women achieving incredible goals. It wasn't just weight loss, it was, conceiving, it was dating, it was feeling confident in a wedding dress. It was overcoming disordered eating. It was big goals with huge substance. And over the years, things have grown. Came to a point when I couldn't serve everybody myself. So I decided to grow the company and invite coaches to come in and support me to support more clients. And we now have an amazing team of experts alongside us, including a psychologist, sleep expert, NLP. We have a personal stylist in the program. So we really are a 360-degree approach to female body transformation. And for us, we can achieve you the physical results, but our main job and focus is to get you to a place where you and your body are connected and working as one, physically and mentally, when you leave our program. And for us, we're not here to work with you for life. We're here to work with you once, and you fly the nest and you know what you're doing, you know how to manage your body, and you can teach the next generation how to do it too, so they don't end up in mainstream dieting and going through this cycle of having a negative relationship with their body image. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. That's a little bit about my journey and how it all started and why Fit Queen's here. So that's my summary.
That's incredible and very, very impressive that you've come all that way. Are your health issues okay now?
Yes. So actually, my thyroid, I still have to medicate for. But yes, regular cycles, now not postmenopausal estrogen levels. So yes, I've managed to rehab that. And that's a journey in itself as well. So but fortunately, ticking well at this moment in time.
So what you've done is you've actually rebooted yourself, haven't you? You've become the best version by educating yourself in the right way, rather than trying to fast track the process too quickly, which is quite impressive, really. So it's taken you a while, but you've done so much. Now you're helping people, because I understand from my own world people that I coach, men and women, body issues, body dysmorphia, and we've got just general low confidence coming because they say, well, I'm going to start dating when I've lost a stone, or I've lost X amount of weight, then I'm going to do it, or I need to get a new outfit, or I'm not going to start dating until this, making excuses. Do you think people can date at any time, or is it a good idea if you are going through these issues that you work on that first, your body and mind first, or should you get on with it? What do you think?
I think that depends on your temperament, and I believe it depends on your mental well-being at that point, really. My temperament, I would say, let's jump in and let's experience perhaps that nervous, difficult feeling, because I am now at a place where I go, okay, those difficult feelings always lead to increased resilience and moving forward. But perhaps if you spoke to Emily, 5 years ago or 6 years ago now, it would have been important for me to probably do some internal work first, because I was very vulnerable at that point, and very vulnerable to listening and believing external, comments and things like that. But for me, I met my partner once I'd done Who's Emily, who is she, and where's her middle ground, and where's her boundaries, and where's her self. I'd worked so heavily around that, and then I met my partner, and I went into that relationship in a completely different place. So I think it depends on the person. I don't know if there's a definitive.
I'd agree with you. I'd say that if you want to do this, though, it's a good idea to get another coach to help you, whether it is dating, whether it is fitness, whether it is diet, whatever it might be. Get someone to support you along the way. And then you become accountable to that, and you are going to have to do something about it, because it's easy to make excuses for anything, and having someone to give you a bit of a push and support you along the way is always going to help. I tell most people that come to me that do something about both those things right from the very start. Maybe you can think about going for an exercise program, or sorting your diet out, or getting a new wardrobe, getting a haircut. And then alongside that, you can start thinking about what sort of person do you want to attract out of this, and then making a list. So it's the combination of all these things together, and then you've got lots to do and you get excited about it. That's what I think. But you're right, different people are ready at different stages. But I think with a coach, we can help them see when that might be.
Absolutely. And also, in modern society, when you really, really hone in, what do you do that supports you, your self-care, and your self-development. And if you are getting up and you're wearing lots of hats, you're a mum, you're you know, a CEO of a company, and you're constantly looking after everybody else. It's like, well, who is looking after you, and who is giving you a space to grow yourself? And one thing to answer that previous question actually is, I personally believe that the moment you start investing time into your health and wellness through, you know, whether it be your diet, whether it be your how you move your body, as soon as you start, it takes a very small amount of time for you to start building that inner belief piece, and for you to start really going, hang on a minute, no, I'm here for it. You know, I'm investing time in myself, so I'm going to walk into that date in a completely different mindset, because I've got me, and I've got control, and I've got focus on me, and I think that actually comes very quickly.
I do as well. Is realizing that you're capable of doing anything that you want to do, and you can achieve what you want to do. Yeah,
yes. Absolutely, absolutely.
And taking those first steps is the hardest bit, I think.
Gosh, yes, because we hate change, and we love to stay in routine. So the idea of making a change, especially if you're already a busy person, and you already feel like you've got a lot of stresses on your plate, you know, doing something different, it's easy for the brain to go, no, stay in your lane. But actually, we all know by jumping out of your lane is where we will see great, incredible growth, like 100%. And I love what you just said about anything being, you know, possible. And to a degree, that's absolutely true. But I think we see more people, you know, not necessarily jumping into that and really being held back for so long. So I think that's why I want to always share, you know, how it wasn't all quite, you know, cracked out perfectly for me at the beginning. It was a really turbulent start for me. And it isn't because I had I took a magic pill or anything like that. It's genuinely been chipping away over the years to find that new identity, really.
What was interesting there, you talked about change, and people don't want to change. It's much easier to stay in what you've got rather than what you could possibly achieve. And that sadly is the reason why so many people stay in unhappy relationships, and why they don't do things about it, and why they will just stick with that and make bad dating choices. I think because I think it's a lot easier to stay with what you've got if you're unhappy, rather than to actually force yourself to do something else, because you're used to new routines. Over life, we form patterns of behaviour, routines, habits, and when you're dating someone, the same thing happens. You form them together, and it's very difficult to break free of that. But I think all this comes together. I think if you can work on your mind, work on your body, then you'll be a stronger person, and you'll be able to get through that as well. So there's two different things here. There's the mind transformation we're going to talk about, and also the body transformation. So should we start with some mind tips and tricks there? I think mind has to come first, doesn't it?
Always, absolutely, always. And the development, the congratulating yourself starts at day one of your journey when we work with our clients, right? It doesn't start in 12-week time when you've met a certain dress size. It starts on day one, just for, you know, we congratulate our ladies when they have their first initial call, because that's a huge step forward, like 100%. So I think from a mindset perspective, I am a very firm believer that having your own internal toolkit and working in your personal development, whether you're single or in a relationship, is very powerful. And I say that from a place of not doing that and ending up in a relationship where I felt like I couldn't leave because I didn't have my internal toolkit, which supported me from a mindset perspective. So, you know, I had a partner, and if you go on Google and you type my name, you'll see loads of articles come up about this. I had a partner which openly admitted to overfeeding me. He said the bigger you got, the less people would look at you.
Oh no, a feeder. Yeah.
A feeder, like he and for me at that point, so I put on a lot of weight through that relationship. And interesting actually, because when you read the comments, you know, some people wrote, well, you're the one that put your hand to your mouth. And I understand that, you know, I was the one that physically ate the food. But I also was with someone that I loved at the time. And for me, I didn't have my own internal boundaries. I didn't have my own toolkit. And now when I look at my toolkit, it's bigger, it's broader, and I have some great self-worth behind my mindset, but at that point I didn't, and it made it really hard to leave. So that's just a piece around that where actually I was vulnerable in that position because I didn't put myself first, and the priority of being able to do that, really.
Yeah, you have to. But I understand when you're with somebody, you love them, they're telling you certain things, and you're doing things to please your partner, and then your confidence gets worn down, doesn't it, over time? I'd imagine as well. And you just think, well, this is all I'm good enough. This is my level of happiness, and I'm very lucky to have this. But I think two big. I'm almost putting this on my website very soon. There's two phrases now that people come to me because they are frustrated with dating, making bad choices, meeting the wrong people, and also because they've been settling for second best. They are just compromising too much, making bad decisions. And then all this does come down to just having more confidence within you and more self-belief and knowing your own worth, doesn't it? And knowing what you can achieve. How important do you think is goal setting when it comes to this? Do you think you should write down what you want to do or just get on with it?
When it comes to body transformation?
Well, mind transformation, first of all, I'm thinking.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. I'm a huge believer of not ruminating in my own thoughts. I like to be able to transfer my thoughts down onto paper and constantly focus on improving my personal development all the time. And for me, that's a constant journey of, just change and growth and so forth. So yes, I constantly always work with SMART goals, whether it be for physical or mindset progressions. Absolutely. Because I've realized the more I learn about this, the more fulfilling my life can be. So the more I learn about my brain and what's going on inside my mindset and my limitations, the more I can really work through that. When we really start to explore habit forming, conditioning, all of those factors going on inside of your brain, like you can really rewrite your way of living and the way you feel and think about things. And I think that is incredible.
It definitely is. Do you have certain routines and rituals that you do every day when it comes to doing this? Not so much exercise and diet, we'll come on to that, but in terms of what you do, anything you do in particular?
I see a personal development coach every week without fail. If I need to talk, if I'm busy and I need to talk to her at an airport, I will. So that's a non-negotiable for me because I need space to be able to have an open floor and to just talk solidly for an hour if that's what I need to do. I think this is interesting. Obviously, Identity A, Emily, was quite extrovert, very loud, very expressive. It was all a facade for sure, but now going through to Identity B and being more in control of my emotions, and actually the pandemic more pushing me into being, quite closed. So for me, having that space once a week to just share is so immensely powerful. And I always hone in on focusing on that hour. I also have an open communication policy with my partner. And we've worked really hard on our communication. And for us, we use either in person or email sometimes. And we
emails?
Like to...
How do you mean by emails? You just write each other an email, I'm unhappy, I want you to change that.
I'll give a good example. So my partner's just gone through his command course where he's taken his captaincy. He's a pilot. And it was a really, really stressful course. And, it's been 3 months of him really working incredibly hard and it being quite intense for him. And there was something I needed to share with him, but I wanted him to be able to digest it in his own time. So I put it in an email. And I was able to think about what I wanted to share with him, make sure I communicated it in the right way. And for me, that worked. I got what I needed, sharing the information with him. He came back to me and it worked at that moment. Don't get me wrong, majority of the stuff we do in person, but I don't think there's ever any problem with being creative with your communication style if it leads to the outcome that's great for both you, your partner, and the relationship.
Yeah, that's very wise words. I would say one thing there, that before I got married, my wife, because we weren't living together, my wife was sometimes, she's really annoyed with me or in a bad mood. She would send me one hell of a rant. by text or by email. And I used to call, I won't tell her name, but it used to be her special way of communicating with me. I knew if I saw this long email, I was in trouble and something I'd done wrong.
Okay.
And so if she sent me one of these long text messages now, or these emails, I would be terrified what I've done now. I used to make it a joke in the end. I think because we live together, we talk all the time. The communication is absolutely important to this. But I'm sorry, yeah, but that's a great idea to do the emails.
Yeah, and this isn't a window of like for me, ranting at my partner would not create an outcome that's good for both of us. So it definitely wasn't written in a place of rant. But then equally, I'm here to say strongly that for me, I'm a firm believer that you've always got to work on watering your garden, and you know, as you grow as people, you have to continue to work on your connection and your relationship. So for us, we're always learning, but we're always both committed to making sure that we're growing.
Absolutely, and that's so important in any sort of relationship that you've got, that you do continue to keep making sure that you're both working on that, whether it's friends or family as well, I would say. And the funny thing is with my wife that she knows what I do, obviously, and we talk about things. And sometimes she thinks she's very argumentative. We'll have good conversations about things because she'll test me. And she'll think I'm just doing routines on her and things like that. And I'm not. Because it's almost like, okay, you know what to say. You know how to get around me. Are you being genuine? And of course I always am. And that's important. But I think knowing how to handle this, how to handle each other is really, really important. When it comes to my own sort of daily rituals and things that I do, I find what's really important to me is just sometimes just to go out for a long walk and just to go out, maybe put a podcast on, go for a walk, just to go out in the air, really, because so much of what we do nowadays, particularly for me, I work from home, I'm in my office, talking to people one-to-one, and I've got my family around, which is great, and it's wonderful that I've got that, but I need to get out sometimes and just clear and get new thoughts, and then sometimes I go meet my brother once a week and we have a sit by the pond and we have coffee and we just talk about business ideas and just let off steam. But that's really important.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I'd say some great intricate sort of day-to-day bits that I apply into my life is I'm always very committed to balancing my stress levels and regulating my cortisol. So for me, I know that I can make great decisions and, you know, have a good mood as much of the time as possible if I am balancing stress levels. So there's some great biohacks around that, but just a quick one that you could easily apply is if you're somebody that's waking up, you're feeling stressed, anxious straight away, and you're a coffee lover, just by holding off your coffee and having it 90 minutes after you wake up, it can really help to balance your cortisol levels and stop you from feeling that like just sheer exhaustion. So let your body wake you up naturally from your cortisol response. Give yourself 90 minutes, have some water, a decaf drink, then put your caffeine in slightly later, and you've got a stimulant going in at the right time, and hopefully that should carry you through a nice energetic morning, which you can get all your magic work done and make all your decisions, or however you structure your working day. And I always pair that with I have a dog, and it's a non-negotiable. Walking the dog is an absolute non-negotiable. And there's a lot of practical bits that you can apply that can really help with that too.
Yeah, that's great advice. I would try that myself with the coffee, but I usually wake up an hour before I get up because my kids have woken up and they need to go to the toilet or something, and something happens. So, but I think for most people who haven't got that problem, absolutely that's great advice, and then you can get yourself ready for that. Now, one way people tend to control stress, and what they've done a lot of in the last couple of years, is through alcohol. Now, I'm going to have to ask this question. You don't have to answer it. I can cut this bit out if you don't want to answer it. Did you drink a lot before you became the new you, and what do you do now? How do you handle things now? You're laughing now.
Yeah, you don't have to cut this out.
No, tell me.
Yes, you can call me the Blossom Hill Zinfandel girl if you like, because I would have that awful stuff with a straw in, and I drank a lot, and the guy that I was dating drank a lot also, and that was a daily ritual really. And especially for socializing, you know, that would be my go-to. And I've shared this a lot through some of the, you know, my content pieces, but for me, especially in the dating space, you wouldn't get me going on a date without having a good couple of large glasses of wine before I went. And
before, okay.
The point, before. And because in my mind, it would be like, well, he's seen pictures of me. He might think I look bigger in person, and I'm stressed about that. And my mum once, I remember this, I was living at home at the time, and she watched me, drink all of this wine before I went out. And of course, her mind went to, well, if you're tipsy, you're not going to be safe. And she came in and she confronted me about it. And we had a massive argument because I was embarrassed, but would I admit that at the time? No. And I was doing what I thought I needed to do to be able to find a man. And at that point, that was my coping strategy. So, yes, I drank a lot beforehand, for sure. Again, because I didn't have that internal confidence piece. Whereas if we fast forward to now, I don't drink a huge amount, but when I do, I'll always invest into, a drink that I really enjoy. So I like a nice bottle of champagne, and I don't drink very frequently. So I like to drink something that's really tasty. And it's not all the time. It's based on when there's an occasion. And, I've fortunately just taken a few of my team members out to Dubai. We've had an amazing first quarter, and we went out and we celebrated, and we went to this party, and we all had some drinks, and that was lovely. But yeah, not as frequent now.
No. The reason I asked that question, it comes up a lot with my clients, because people have been drinking more, and also a lot of people have stopped drinking because of the pandemic, and they're thinking, do you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. But I look back when I was single, and my younger years, probably 20 odd years ago, and I was an actor, and it was a very social thing to do, to go out and drink. I did a lot of dating, and I was always drinking, going out drinking 2-for-1 cocktails all the time. And I didn't realise, but I was a bit bigger back in those days. Only when you look back and people tell you that, you look at the pictures, you remember all these things. At the time it was fine, but I don't hardly drink at all nowadays. I think I'm too much aware of people want to be in control of my situation. But occasionally I'll have a couple of drinks. But I think, funny enough, I've just had one glass of Prosecco this year so far. That's all I've had.
Nice.
And because I haven't really needed to do that. But there's nothing wrong with a couple of drinks on a date at all. But don't have too many, otherwise you get in trouble. I'd say that as well. I want to quickly move on to the body side of things now, body transformations. How does someone get started on that?
Yeah, this is a really great question. So I think the reality with achieving a transformation that's going to be yours for life, it's picking the right support system to put in place. And, the weight loss industry is worth 2 billion a year. So there's a reason why, because a lot of the structure is built for you to go back year on year and go through this yo-yo cycle of gaining, losing. And I guess, James, from your perspective, when working with clients, this is about building their infrastructure and getting them stronger and getting them more confident in their dating journey. So if we're achieving a body transformation at the same time, we want to work up this pyramid and make sure we keep you there, rather than taking that identity piece away from you. So I think the first point of call is making sure that you're going with a dieting or a body transformation support system that really is going to work for you. So a big tip here is, we shouldn't be investing anything into a weight loss support system that hasn't connected with you for an hour and really understood you via a call. It really got to know you, your hormones, your lifestyle, and really ask you some key questions about, why you haven't got to where you want to be already. So making sure you're getting some tender loving care from the company or the system before you actually decide to step into that, because you are giving something so important. Like, you are giving your whole self, your body, your mindset, when you hand over the responsibility of your nutrition and wellness. So this is really interesting, James, but there's a study called the Minnesota study, and it's a 12-week intensive study where they put men through a very aggressive diet, and they watched their behavioral change when it came to many factors: mindset, food obsessions, libido, interest in women, so forth. And actually, if you don't have the right dietary setup, it can really affect so many factors, which could heavily be affecting your relationship with yourself and dating. So this is huge. You're giving huge responsibility. So just making sure that it's the right system for you, and is going to create a long-term outcome that you can hold, maintain, and is your safe, secure new identity.
And they would do this through you?
Absolutely, of course. Yeah. Well, I say yes, but from a space of we would want to talk to you first and we would want to get to know you. And I always say to ladies as well, especially when they connect to my inbox, thank you for being so open, because like you'll relate to this, you have to be there and be sharing very open areas of your life. And I always feel very fortunate for that when I haven't, built a rapport with this person, if they've just came into my inbox. So yeah, absolutely. We always connect with everybody that wants to connect with Fit Queen, and we have a good old chinwag. And if we feel we are the right fit for you, then we explore options, of course, in regards to working with you. So yeah.
That's important. You're right. I find people are very vulnerable, and they will tell me their whole dating history very early on when I meet with somebody, because they just want help. They want someone to support them who knows what they're doing. And it's important. You're right, in terms of choosing a coach, you have to go with someone that you trust, who knows and understands what you've been through, whether they've lived through it themselves or they've helped people that have lived through it. And it's an ongoing process. I know that you said that in your situation, you want people to work with you just for a short time so that you empower them and they can make their own decisions later on. And I'm the same with that. I want people to be empowered early on so they can make better dating choices, where to go, how to present yourself, be completely confident. But I do find sometimes people come back to me after a period of time because they've become newly single again. And I see that as a good thing and a bad thing. It's disappointing that it hasn't lasted for them. But I think they're on a new journey. They've remembered me. And I remember the impact that I made with them. And I love that, because I have great amount of repeat customers. But I suppose for you want people just to be empowered right from the start, don't you? So that they can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a practicality standpoint, for us, we want to be able to provide, just to point out, we only work with women, but for us, we want to be able to provide women the education around the logistics of body transformation, how their hormones work and how to really support their body to achieve and sustain, that identity. So we like to provide the education. Now, that doesn't mean that people don't continue to work with us longer or come back, if they want to have that cheerleader in their corner and they love that accountability piece, because you'll get this, when we work with our clients, we're serving them day in, day out. A friendship is formed, a very powerful connection is formed. We will often know if one of our clients is pregnant before their partners are. It's a very close connection. So some people go, actually, I invest in Fit Queen and I do it all the time because this is part of my health and wellness pot that I put into myself, and it enables me to, have all of these factors looked after, nutrition and wellness, and I've got my best mate in my corner here that knows my body really well, because everyone's going through different changes in their lives, aren't they? Whether it be, getting married or having children or stepping onto that dating ladder, so ideally for us, it's the education piece. We don't want you staying because you don't know what you're doing. You can stay if you know what you're doing and you love the coaching element, but for us, it's about teaching you the whys and hows behind what we're doing, which is really important.
Do you provide them with like a nutrition plan as well and a diet plan?
Yeah, so it's super in depth in regards to the way we work with our clients, because when it comes to creating a really great body transformation, we need a really, really in-depth understanding of what someone's life looks like Monday to Sunday, and what their stresses are like, what their eating behaviors are like, how they move their body, what stresses they're exposed to in work, sleep quality, hormone function, like all of those factors all need to be considered. And then we will take that information once getting to know that person, and we will build a full program for that person. If we have a client that works in the city, we will utilize restaurants in a mile radius of their office. We will work in takeaways in the evening. If you love Wagamamas, we will work that into your programming. It's really intricate. It's really personalized, because we have to create a way of eating that these people can sustain long term and that they enjoy, that also ticks what their body needs to be able to achieve great results. Takes a lot of time and a lot of care and attention, but that's truly what I believe women need to be able to create something that's sustainable. If you're jumping on, a weight loss system that, associates a fat as a negative food source, or you've got to count points, whatever, like for me, that isn't sustainable. So that's where we do things very differently at Fit Queen.
You've made me really crave Wagamamas now, so thanks for that.
Oh,
I could do
I
with a
do
nice
love
ramen soup,
wagamame.
but I've got my own sort of healthy plan to follow. I'm not sure that really fits in with what I want to have, a load of bowl of noodles today, but because I'm doing a fun run in a couple of months' time, a Father's Day fun run. It's one of my goals in
Nice.
life. It's good to set little goals and little challenges.
Yeah,
But do you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
it's important. Whatever you're going to do in life, I think it's setting little challenges and push yourself every day. That way you can be the most perfect version of you that's possible. And that's what we live for. That's the only purpose of life, to be the best that you can be. Live every day to the absolute maximum. And don't hold back because someone else tells you something different or because you've got these inner conflicts. Get a coach. And you know, Emily, I would love to talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but unfortunately we're at the end of this now. And I know you're very, very busy. So we'll round off now. So can you tell everyone how they would find out more about you and how they would contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram and you can find me on there. My name is Emily de Luzy. It's Deluzy. And you can also find our website, which is www.fitqueen.co.uk. And you can find me across LinkedIn and Facebook just under my name also. And yeah, any questions, feel free to just say hello and it'll be really nice to have a chat with you. Will warn you, I do love a voice note, as James will know, because I feel it's a lovely way to get to know you, so you might well get a voice note back from me. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And thanks so much for having me today, James.
It has been an absolute pleasure. I hope we can do this again another time because it was wonderful. Have a great rest of the day.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespriest.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.